Welcome back, Academic Games Tips, Tricks, and Tutorials fans. Today, I have a treat for you. I am interviewing an AP grader, Mrs. Melissa Stendardo from Northville High School. Mrs. Stendardo was a former AP grader for AP Biology. She graded for over 10 years and has much experience in the field. And today, she's going to share with you, the students, some valuable advice. We know it's AP exam season, so we hope that this interview will provide you all of the answers to your questions and will prepare you for the exams. Mrs. Stendardo, do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody.
How are you today?
I am well, thank you. I hope you are too.
I'm fine as well. I see we have the nice backgrounds of all the biology covered today.
Yes, today we are in free response practice mode.
Free response. Right, we'll get into that later, guys. We're gonna cover some tips about what to do and how to please the graders. But free response can be daunting, but it's less daunting once you have some information, inside info. But so the structure of these questions is I'm gonna ask 10, 11 questions that I've pre-prepared for Mrs. Stendardo. These are commonly asked questions that you guys have submitted to me, and I'm gonna ask them to her, and she's gonna provide her feedback and a response. She's also talked with other readers. So this is not just her response, but that of the community of AP graders. So this is a trusted response. You should trust what she says on behalf of the entire community and understanding what they have to say, as well as answering your questions. So let's get started with our first commonly asked question. So although most students are confident of the structure of their AP exams and the content tested, many aren't aware of the grading process of these exams. Explain the process of what happens to these tests after they're shipped off.
All right, so your exams are all collected and shipped to one location in the United States, wherever the reading is going to happen. So that's what the grading event is called. It's called the reading. And the graders, the readers, all assemble in that area as well. So the readers would arrive, the tests would arrive, the readers would be assigned either like one long free response question to grade for the week or a couple of the short free response questions to grade for the week. And one of the first things that happens when the readers arrive is they are trained on how to use the rubric for their particular question. And then they practice using that rubric and they test each other. They'll swap papers. I gave this one a 5. When you read it, did you give this one a 5 as well? And they'll talk about it. And there's a lot of good discussion and training. So you can feel confident that when the readers start reading and grading for real, they have a good understanding of what the rubric is and where the points are in your responses. And when we are doing that, we are sitting in a large room together. It's very quiet the entire day because everybody's focused on reading, but you're sitting at a table, I don't know, 8 other people who are reading the same question that you are. So if you happen to do have a question, you can ask your neighbor, and you have a table leader who's in charge of the group as well. And then a question leader who's in charge of the whole question. So all of the tables reading that particular question and all those teachers. And we work from early in the morning till normal, like, I don't know, 7:30 to 8, or 7:30 or 8 until about, 4 or 5, with a lunch break and then a morning break and an afternoon break, short.
So just to be, I guess, to confirm it up, each teacher is going to be grading one question specifically. So it's not going to be, you get a whole exam of one student and you look at all the questions.
No, you just grade one question all week, 7 days straight.
Okay, so it's more specialized, kind of. That's what you're saying. Okay, so our next question we have here is, how long does it take you to grade one question? Do you double check your grading?
So I think that the amount of time it takes to grade a question is going to vary on whether it's a short free response or a long free response. And it's going to vary by reader because some people read a little faster than others. So I don't have an actual number for you, but it's definitely going to be a couple minutes. It's not like 30 seconds and it's done. We put the time in to read your responses. We took the time to write them. We're going to take the right time to read them. Some readers, once you read it, if you think I need to read that again, you can read it again and verify that the score that you want to award is the score that you first initially said. Your table leader will back read you. So they will randomly take exams that you have already graded, and they will read them and make sure that their score agrees with your score. And if not, you have a little chat to make sure that we understand the rubric. And so that's kind of like the double checking in that respect. But you're not like officially double checking yourself. Somebody else is doing that.
Awesome. And so for the next question, are there ever situations where one student's response has sparked debate within the graders, and have any questions been voided in the past to this?
I think that there have been student responses that can definitely spark discussions between readers, especially if like an example that a student provided isn't one that that particular reader is familiar with or knowledgeable about. They would have to have a conversation with somebody else who might be like, yes, that's correct. That's right. Yeah. So I don't know how much debating, but definitely discussion. And I don't think that questions have been voided because of this. And I really don't think that free response questions are going to be voided after the exam.
So our next question, and this is a fun one, is what is your favorite part about grading the AP exams?
When I did it, I used to like to see how students have answered the question. They worked really hard for an entire school year, and this is their moment to apply all of that new learning and their knowledge. And I look forward to seeing what their responses are going to be. And so they generally are pretty typical of what my students would write. I think of whatever paper I'm reading as my students, even if they're not. So I like to see what happened after a full year of learning. I like to see the exam, the questions, the rubrics, how they're applied, so then I can better prepare my students when we're doing practices in class, and I can better apply the rubrics and give them more feedback on what they should expect on their AP exam. So it gives me a chance to prepare them better, assess them better. And the other thing that I really enjoyed about attending readings was meeting up with other AP Bio teachers and having those discussions about how they approach different topics, different activities they've used, different labs, and new ideas. So it kind of excites me to get back to the classroom to try these new ideas with my students. So it's good for professional growth too.
So this is a really, really commonly asked question. It could be the most commonly asked question out of the entire list. And it's, what are some common mistakes that you see in students' responses that they should work to avoid?
I think that one of the most important things I can tell you is to make sure you read the questions carefully and you understand what the question is asking you, and then answer what they're asking you or do what they're asking you to do. Don't just tell them everything you know about a process or a topic, but focus in on what the question's asking you to do and answer that question. And be specific. Use your science vocabulary. Don't be vague. Don't use non-specific terms like stuff and things. Like, you know your biology, use it, and answer every question. Like, watch your time so that you have enough time to write responses for all of the free response questions. But don't skip anything. You will know something about every one of these questions. So don't worry, don't panic, take a deep breath, but read the prompts carefully and answer the questions they're asking.
Those key words that you should be answering, those are on the screen right now. So if you're confused about what she said about, like, answer the question, those key terms that you're going to see in bolded in the questions, they're on the screen right now. So study those terms and know them, know what it means when it says identify or describe or explain. You need to know what it means, because if you do a full paragraph on the identify section, that's too much, right?
Yes, you need to focus in on what they're asking you to do and answer it.
Okay. So have you or other graders accidentally stumbled upon one of your other students' exams? And if so, were you allowed to grade it, or did you pass it on?
I don't think that I personally ever came across any of my student exams. There are probably over 200,000 exams, and your names are not on them. You get that label with your ID number on it. So I wouldn't know it was your exam. I'm sure that it has happened infrequently because there are so many exams, But in that case, I would think that that person would give it to their neighbor to grade and not grade. They might read it to see what their student wrote, but I think they would give it to the grader, somebody else to grade.
It'd be a pleasant surprise if you were to come across one of these tests. This is one of our interesting questions here. Are you paid as a position of an AP grader, and or what other benefits do you receive for spending 1 week of your time grading tests the entire day?
AP readers are paid for the weeks that they work. We are transported to the location, so transportation is organized for you. And including your lodgings too, and your food is all taken care of while you are at the reading, because you need to focus on your reading and grading. And additionally, I think teachers can earn like professional development hours for the hours that they work.
So it's kind of like an AP vacation.
I don't know. They're working pretty hard. I don't know whether I would call it a vacation.
Right. So as a past AP grader, have the exams and procedures changed over the time you've graded, or have they been relatively similar over the years?
When I first started grading, the exam format was different, and it changed around 2012. So the format of the exam has changed, and it's changing again this year for this administration. I think the reading process, that event, a lot of that has probably stayed the same with the way that the teachers are trained to read. So maybe that hasn't changed as much, but the exam certainly has changed over the years.
Okay. So we only have a couple questions left. This one is related to the COVID-19 pandemic. And so we know teachers have been working really hard to satisfy demands of students and parents. How has COVID-19 impacted the grading of AP exams?
I would think that the big change for this year is that the exams are going to be graded remotely by the readers in their homes. They're not gathering as a large group in one location. So that's different.
Okay. We all know that exams are starting up and students might be nervous, especially with the new changes due to COVID-19. And as far as the day we're taking this, AP Bio is in a week. And so it's time to get in the final stages of prepping. What is your best advice and motivation to students who are testing this year?
It's kind of the same as what I said earlier. Like, don't panic, read your questions carefully, make sure you're well rested the night before you take your exam so that you're able to clearly think through the questions and understand them. You have worked really hard all year. And I know that's true of my students, and I know it's true of all the students, and some of us are in the classroom, some of us are at home. So it was a little different this year. You're going to be fine.
So anyways, those are the questions I had for AP grader, Mrs. Stendardo. Once again, Mrs. Stendardo, thank you for coming on and sharing your expertise with us. We really appreciate it. As students, it might be a little bit confusing as to how the process works. If you have a teacher who is an AP grader, just go thank them, and because they have so much knowledge. And even if you have a teacher who's not an AP grader, thank them too, because this year has been a mess and everybody's working really hard. I know that you, Ms. Stendardo, and you've like developed a whole new system for AP Bio online, because you teach an online AP Bio and an in-person. So there's two different things going on at the same time. And so, we should just take a moment to appreciate the teachers and what they're doing. Mrs. Stendardo, do you have any closing remarks?
No, I think that you guys be confident in what you have learned throughout the year. You have worked really hard all year, and you know your biology. So go into it and be confident, but be well rested and prepared. You've put the time in and the effort. Now it's time to be brilliant.